Spiderman 2. Just when you sit back and marvel at Forza's motorsport, fidelity, 60 FPS, modes implementing forms of RT together with screen space reflections and bitmaps, out comes Marvel's Spider-Man 2 for PlayStation 5, landing and performing to Insomniac's usual high level of performance, manipulating the PS5 hardware to arguably its best example to date. Insomniac Games has delivered another new game for the console that pushes technological boundaries, in which a more realistic, denser, sharper representation of New York City expanded to include Brooklyn and Queens. The core rendering itself features dramatic improvements in ray-traced reflections, along with the introduction of RT reflections on bodies of water. The studio firmly embraces the potential of the game's SDW with streaming that allows for faster traversal through the city, along with some spectacular streaming-based set pieces, starting with an introduction that blows the other two iterations out of the water for their polish and level of fidelity. Let's quickly go through each graphical mode as labelled on screen. Fidelity, 30 EPS all RT features are including reflections, ray-traced water and window interiors. All GFZ's systems are at max, including pedestrian density, traffic density and hair detail. This is and will never be my preferred mode, and high action combat, quick reflex, requiring game. And for devs to still laden both the PS5 and Series X with this mode shows you how much Sony and Xbox were talking out of their behinds when they said that 60 4K was the baseline prior to release of the current gen consoles. This mode can be further upgraded if you have a TV that allows for 120Hz refresh rate and a high bandwidth HDMI cable. With Xbox that comes in-box, I assume that is with Sony, as seen on screen. The 40 FPS mode can be further enhanced with VR on. This improves resolution of frame rates based on gameplay. VSC Move will maintain res and target a steady frame rate. Uncapped will lower resolutions to target more variable frame rates. This last option is my favorite, and to date is the best use of 120's VR mode I have seen in any high-octane, high-action game without doubt. To be honest, you will see little difference between uncapped and smoother, but Insomniac has delivered here. The best use of fidelity VRA coupled with the right hardware ITV capable of 120s as output. I urge you strongly, if you have this option, this is the best options bare known. The game plays as if it was locked 60 Fs 99.99 of the time. The optimization and work to create this in a busy action game and setting of night is frankly gobsmacking. Next up we have performance. This mode targets 60 FPS. It includes RT, but is much more simplified in specific cases. Pedestrian traffic and density is decreased in some areas and fine hair detail is simplified. Again, to be able to keep a constant 60 FPS with some ET features set to on is quite an achievement in a game like this. Let's quickly touch on global ILM, building of detail and water ETs. Global illumination is baked into all custom interiors for set piece battles, missions, etc. Each gear is also baked in differently depending on the different times of day for any, and there is a lot of them. The ability to implement this is due to various compression techniques created by Insomniac Games, leveraging the power of the Kraken processor in the PS5 as well as techniques to fit all this onto a Blu-ray disc. Now every single building or skyscraper features what looks like a fully modelled interior with dynamic characters even sitting around inside. Since every window in every part of the scene encompasses our reflections, the Insomniac team wanted to go a step further and provide RT inside these rooms. There are times you see in the office and look, and there is a back door at the rear of that office that seems to go around into the other side of the building. Until now, that was a very difficult problem to solve. I believe this is the first time I've seen a game tackle it's in such a fashion, where you really do get the feeling of depth on all the buildings. But another aspect of this depth that really caught my interest is the way Insomniac handled secondary reflections. With every window hitting art reflections out into the world, the team decided to use the same technique and infuse art inside the building interiors. The team used approx 32 fake rooms underground in the city. Buried below the ground plane, they all have essentially a basic layout and then different variations of furniture and characters that might be in there. When the game traces into a room, the team uses an AD for that window. So for example, a randomly chosen building on say floor 8 going across to window 3 on that floor of that building at this corner will use this room and this sort of random interiors in the room. Water. The handling of RT in the rough waters between parts of Ni is also an impressive achievement. The water is not a smooth glossy surface but choppy, making reflection more diffuse. This causes further loading on performance when implementing RT. Insomniac tried various ways of achieving the right pepper frames. However, just adding RT in its raw basic format proved to be too much of a performance hit, which is no surprise really. The team also tried doing a kind of reflection technique, like rendering from underneath up through the water into the scene, but that created a host of problems as well, having to render an entire whole scene from below. Though eventually they managed to render the waves at 1/4 res, essentially keeping the illusion up for even the most discerning players. This technique was then manipulated and stretched out to allow the team to also implement RT on water in the 60 FPS performance mode. This, perhaps one of only a handful of times a game, has made my jaw drop in recent years. The others from memory seem to be Ghost of Tsushima, Forza Horizon 5, GT7 in PSVR2 mode, and the recent Forza Motorsport and Starfield, and the corrected and polished version of Cyberpunk 2077 and its recent sequel Phantom Liberty, which I've delved into on this channel. It has taken us a very slow and painful 3 years to get to the point where both next-gen systems are now finally being tapped by skilled dev teams in bringing the worlds in gaming we so much enjoy. While this is not a general review of the game, it is indeed a winner. Some bugs have been reported for some people, quite a few, but that was before the initial patches came out very quickly. So far I have not seen one bug myself. While Insomniac definitely played it quote-unquote safe, with the sequel it is still an extremely polished, very well made AR superhero game. The fidelity mode aside, it's just more Spiderman done very well. Definitely go-to contender, but there are a lot of contenders this year. For a good general overview of why I call this game a safe bet, look up Muta's overview of his game on Some Ordinary Game, as I think he puts it quite succinctly in that special way that Muta does. This game really makes you feel like Spider-Man. The goosebumps I felt the first time I glided in my wingsuit across the city on dusk, with the sun tinged deep golden yellow across Nye. My speed increasing, utilizing the circular wind currents, is one memory that I will keep from 2023, probably the best year for gamers in the last half decade at least. One can only imagine what the inevitable PC port will look like, leveraging and harnessing all the power of state-of-the-art hardware. Thank you for sitting through this tech review. If you found it enjoyable, maybe give a thumbs up, share or subscribe if you are new here. Plenty more content on the way. This is still a very new channel and I don't plan on stopping anytime soon. Till next time, thank you for watching. If you liked the video, please like, subscribe for much more.